There are some decluttering projects that are just the gift that keep on giving. Just when you think that you've tackled it all, you open up your fridge and pantry and there's a disaster. Food that you didn't like, things that have expired or gone rotten. I know I'm not the only one who waits until it gets really bad to deal with it. I'd love to say I'm the person who cleans my fridge and pantry weekly when I grocery shop, but unfortunately I am not. And if you're not either, then this motivation is for you today. So let's throw it all out together and start fresh. I went back to check, and the last time that I filmed a pantry and fridge declutter was 7 months ago. So that was the last time I took everything out, I cleaned the space, threw out whatever had gone bad, and put it all back in a more organized fashion. So we're going to end up with quite a bit of trash here, but honestly, for 7 months since the last time that I did this, it could have been worse. Of course, when we grocery shop, I try to put things away where they belong and get rid of bulk packaging. So how does it get so bad? Well, usually when I grocery shop, I've got both kids with me, and by the time I get home, I am physically and mentally worn out from the experience, and things tend to just get thrown into the pantry sometimes without much thought. Over time, it turns into a disaster. It happens. There will be a time in my life where my pantry doesn't look like two tiny tornadoes have ripped right through it, and honestly, I'll probably be sad about that. So my first step in all of this was, of course, to empty out the space, and I decided to work in sections today. So I took everything out of the bottom half of the pantry because I knew it would be much worse than the top half. I wanted to just rip that band-aid right off. I laid everything out on my island to go through it all, and that is when I very carelessly knocked over a whole can of breadcrumbs. But no worries, you already know I'm going to pull out my Eureka Rapid Wash to clean up my mess. I swear I pull this thing out 5 to 6 times a day, sometimes more. It has quickly become an absolute staple for me, especially during the summertime with my kids running in and out of the house. My floors are a mess. We've had company over the house more often. My kids are always spilling stuff. So my Rapid Wash has really come in clutch to keep our floors clean. I'm excited to work with Eureka again to share their Rapid Wash with all of you. This machine can clean wet and dry messes at the exact same time. It will vacuum your floors with strong suction and mop them with a powerful floor brush that wipes them as well. So you can clean your floors in one pass and it will save you so much time. It also has a zero edge design on the right side and front of the brush, so it can get right up into corners and along edges. You can see here as it cleans up along the edges of my cabinets and doesn't miss a single crumb or drop of spilled coffee. You just can't really get a closer clean than this. I wanted to make sure that I demonstrated my personal favorite feature of the Rapid Wash here too. So we have 3 cats and I also have pretty long hair, but this machine has an innovative anti-entanglement design. You can see here it has a scraper and a flush comb, and these 2 things prevent hair from getting wrapped around the roller brush. I wanted to show you its capabilities, so I cleaned up this big wad of my cat's fur and immediately opened up the Rapid Wash so I could show you nothing was wrapped around the brush. It was totally clean. The water tanks are also a great size. I can clean my entire main floor in one go around without having to refill or empty the water tanks. When you are all done cleaning, you simply just place the Rapid Wash back at its base station and allow it to run a self-cleaning cycle. It will flush its inner tubing and brush roller, and something I really appreciate about this is that it will end its self-cleaning cycle with air drying its roller to prevent odors from forming. This has been a huge pain point for me with other wet dry vacuums because I find they all end up smelling terribly, but this one I have had absolutely zero issue with odors, and that sets the Rapid Wash completely apart from others for me. Plus, you cannot beat the price point. Other wet dry vacuums on the market could run you $500 or maybe even $1,000 or more, but the Rapid Wash is a great price. I know you guys are going to love this. The Rapid Wash is lightweight and powerful. It'll save you so much time cleaning up your floors. So be sure to use the link in my description box to shop. And I just want to say thank you to Eureka for sponsoring today's video. Now, when I have posted a pantry and fridge declutter in the past, probably the most common questions I get are, why don't you just shop for the week ahead? why aren't you meal planning? And truthfully, we do typically shop for only the week ahead. We very, very rarely bulk shop. We've never been the type of people to bulk shop. We also do meal plan most weeks and shop for those meals specifically. Stuff just collects. We're humans. We do our best to go through it all before it goes bad or before we just move on to buying something else. We also have a toddler though who's extremely, extremely picky, and a lot of the snacks that we have in here that have been sitting a while were things that we bought hoping he'd eat them and then he would not. Another thing that I hear a lot on my pantry and fridge declutters, I think it's especially for my viewers who are from outside of the United States, but I get a surprising number of comments about how large my pantry is. And maybe my perception is skewed from social media, but I feel our pantry is relatively small compared to what you may see in America nowadays. And again, my perception may be totally skewed by things like Pinterest and Instagram and YouTube and seeing big new build houses with walk-in pantries. I am sure that is not the norm. So I'd love to know, what size pantry do you have in your home relative to mine, and where do you live? I'm really curious. I have mentioned this plenty of times, but I do not shop on Temu, and one of the reasons why, I mean, just look right there, I was trying to peel off some sticky residue that was left behind from something I had bought the one time I shopped on Temu, and it literally like destroyed the shelf in my pantry. So just another reason not to shop there if you needed one. I had a viewer comment on one of my videos recently where I think it might have honestly been my last fridge and pantry declutter. I'm not really sure which video it was, but they said that they like the way that Clutterbug talks about decluttering the fridge and pantry, and saying how she does not feel bad when she throws away processed garbage because it's literally processed garbage. And so anyway, that actually, I found that really helpful to hear that Clutterbug feels that way. I really respect her and her channel, and it made me feel a little bit better about throwing away some of this stuff, because truly, when you think about it, it is just processed garbage, most of it. Now, like I said, I knew that the top half of the pantry wasn't going to be as bad as the bottom half, so I really just went through this and grabbed stuff that I could go through. I wasn't taking every single thing out because honestly, most of this was just going to end up right back where it was, but I knew there were some things I wanted to rearrange or go through, so I did go ahead and do that, but this was much easier than going through the bottom half. We have never been like a chip family or a super snacky family, probably up until the last like year or so. My husband has really taken a liking for some late night snacks, so I feel like we've definitely collected a lot more snacks than we ever did in the past, and I would like to not do that anymore. I really was on like a fitness journey last fall and I was doing so amazing. I lost like close to 20 pounds. I've gained a little bit of that back, but I'm still lower than I was where I started, so that's what's important. But I would love to go back to that. I would love to start eating cleaner and healthier things. Also, not to get like too TMI or too personal, but I do struggle with my cholesterol, as does a lot of the people in my family. So I feel like it's really important that I'm not eating this processed garbage and that I eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. So again, like I was saying before, I don't really feel bad about throwing away the processed garbage. At the end of the day, it's just crap is what it is. But I do feel bad when our fruits or vegetables or meats go bad. That's when I really have a problem with that, and I'm happy to say that it's pretty rare that that happens for us. You'll see later in the video I did have some clementines that were looking pretty rotten, but for the most part we do go through that stuff without any issue of it going bad and having to throw it away, and I'm proud of us for that. All that being said though, if you are someone who's ever struggled with your cholesterol before, I would love to know what you did to help yourself lower it, or if you have any recommendations. I do not eat fish. My doctor keeps recommending that I eat fish, but I can't do it. So any other recommendations other than fish, I would love to hear it. But anyway, this is the after. The pantry looks much better, much cleaner. Everything is organized and there's no more expired junk in there. Moving on to the fridge, I try to do this when we are running low on food so that it's not too difficult to take everything out and clean out the fridge, but it was literally like 95 degrees on the day that I was filming, and my air conditioning, we do have central air in my home, but it was not keeping up with the heat. So I did not want to take everything out, just didn't want to risk anything getting yucky and disgusting. So I kind of went like one shelf at a time. I would move stuff and then I would clean off that shelf and then I'd move things back. So it probably took me a little longer than usual because I was doing it this way, but I just really didn't want to risk leaving things out to go bad because the temperature in my house was pretty hot. I feel like I say this every single time I clean out my fridge, but this is one of those things that I just absolutely dread doing. But I'm so happy after I did it, and it does last for quite some time. I find when I have like the fridge fresh and cleaned and then I restock with some new groceries, I feel like it stays organized for quite some time, and it's just so satisfying every time I open the fridge and it looks nice and it looks clean and there's not like yucky stuff all over the shelves. So as much as it stinks to do this, it is totally worth it. So if you've been putting it off, this is your sign to just go ahead and do it. You're going to be so happy that you did. I feel like our fridge looks so scarce in all these clips, and people are probably looking at this like, what are these people even eating? But like I said, I try to do this on the days where our fridge is running really low on food so that it's not as difficult to take everything out and clean it properly. So I did go grocery shopping after I had filmed this video and restocked on like fruits and vegetables and meats and some cheeses. We're a big cheese family. I think I mentioned this in my last video, but a lot of you told me that you also have like a dedicated cheese drawer in your fridge, and you are my people. We love cheese so much. We're a big cheese family, so it gets a big dedicated drawer in our fridge and we just love it. One thing I really had to do was go through all of our condiments. We had a ton of salad dressings and random condiments that have collected over time that were very expired. I know a lot of people say like the expiration date doesn't necessarily mean that the food has gone bad, but I have major anxiety over the idea of getting sick from food. I feel like maybe I've never mentioned this in a video before, but I take expiration dates very seriously because I have an intense fear of throwing up or getting sick. So I'm just extra cautious about it. And if something's expired, it is gone. I'm not keeping it in our fridge. And maybe you're okay with having expired food or whatever, and it's not necessarily when the food has gone bad, but I am not that way. I just don't want to risk it. Does anybody else have family members who love to just put back empty packaging? I just don't understand it. I will find empty packaging from string cheese or empty packaging from popsicles. Like I went into the freezer later on in this day and I found a completely empty box that had popsicles in it, and now it was empty. But like, why is the box still in there? I don't understand why the people in my family do this to me, but I'm constantly cleaning out empty packaging. Our dedicated cheese drawer was looking relatively clean, but our fruits and vegetables drawer needed a little bit of a wipe down, so I did take that out of the fridge so I could properly clean it. And I was spilling water absolutely everywhere while I was doing this because there's like a section in the front that is a little bit open, and when I spray the water just comes right out all over the floor. So I was soaked, the floor was soaked, but the drawer was clean, so all is good. Look at how much better this looks. Everything is clean, everything is organized and ready for me to go ahead and restock. And now I'm going to show you guys some of my really embarrassing expiration dates on all the food that I'm getting rid of. Some of this was like over a year old, which is crazy because I feel like I do check these pretty frequently, but apparently I missed some because there was some pretty expired food in here and some really nasty corn. And would you believe me if I told you that was an apple? And then here's those rotting clementines. But now we're going to work on getting rid of all of this food, throwing it in the trash. saying goodbye to it and starting fresh, which is always a good feeling. Sometimes I will go ahead and like empty out the plastic bottles and stuff that the condiments are in, and I'll rinse them and I'll put them in my recycling. But the last time I did this and I dumped a bunch of condiments like down my kitchen sink, I felt like my kitchen sink was a little bit clogged after that. And I'm just worried about doing something awful and ending up needing like a really expensive plumber. So I did throw away more packaging than I normally do, but I try to recycle as much as possible. Moving on, we're going to do some cleaning motivation now. Now that I've done the big project for the day, I wanted to go ahead and get my dishwasher emptied. And then as per usual, I had some dirty dishes waiting in the sink to be put into the dishwasher. Isn't that the worst? You know, like when your dishwasher is clean, but your sink is full of dirty dishes. It's just like, ugh, it's just the worst. I just want everything to be clean at the same time, but that never ever happens. Obviously, I'm just being silly and dramatic here, but it does stink. It's not my favorite thing. I feel like I'm absolutely like beating a dead horse at this point. Do people know that expression? I hope people know that expression because otherwise that sounds really wrong. But anyway, I feel like I've just said this over and over and over again, and it's maybe even annoying at this point. But I just find that cleaning our house is so much easier ever since we have done all of our decluttering. It's just crazy what a difference it has made in our day-to-day lives. So as much as like, you know, I finished that big project of the fridge and pantry, I didn't really feel like cleaning. I knew it wasn't going to take me very long and that it would be worth it to just go ahead and get it done. And before, it would have taken me like the entire day to do the fridge and pantry, and then it would have taken me like another entire day just to tidy up our house after. That's not the case anymore. It's really just so easy to stay on top of things because we just don't have as much stuff as we used to, and it's been the best. I cannot stand having to clean things by hand. I do typically rinse everything off before I put it into the dishwasher, which I know is super controversial. Everyone has their own opinions about it, but that's just what I do, what I prefer, and what works for us here in our household. But anyway, washing things by hand, I just find that to be the worst. And I feel like I used to really like that, and these days I just cannot be bothered. But I had a couple of cups of my son's that could not go in the dishwasher, so unfortunately I had to clean those out myself. I found this lighthouse when I was going through bins in my basement recently of seasonal decor, and I had completely forgot that I had it, but it's a Scentsy warmer, and I was really excited to get this set up and put this in my kitchen. It's been years since I've used this. I feel like I kind of got away from it because it's a little bit of like a rustic-y, maybe even farmhouse. I guess it's coastal decor technically, but I don't know. I felt like the style of it was out, but these days I truly don't care anymore. I just want to put out what I like, and I don't really care if it's like trendy or modern or whatever. So anyway, it makes me really happy. I like this a lot, and of course it smells great because it's a Scentsy warmer. You will pretty much catch me with a pile of papers on our counters at all times. I know I just talked about how amazing it has been to declutter our lives, but you're still going to catch me with a pile of papers on my counters. It's just the one thing about me that cannot be changed at this point. I think it's just embedded into who I am. But I am going through the papers today, trying to get rid of what I can, figure out what were like bills that needed to be paid because I didn't want to forget about those things, like what is stuff that I have to take care of. And then I also had like a bunch of my son's summer reading stuff in here and his summer like schoolwork book that we've been doing at home together that I wanted to keep on the counter and keep easily accessible. So anyway, I'm just sorting through it all, figuring out what to do with everything so that I don't have quite as big of a pile of papers on my counter, but you bet I'm still gonna have a pile of papers on my counter after. It's just not quite as bad as it was before. Now, of course, we're going to pull out my rapid wash to do a good clean of the floors in my kitchen to wrap up this video today. Like I said, I literally pull this thing out probably like 5 to 6 times a day. It's just so convenient to be able to wash, like mop and vacuum my floors at the exact same time. And it works really well. It does a great job. And I just really enjoy having clean floors. I like to walk around my house barefoot. I don't want there to be crumbs like sticking to the bottom of my feet. So I just use this all day long. Absolutely love it. So just again, make sure you check the link in my description box. It's a great price point as well for one of these. So if you've been looking into like a wet dry vacuum, would highly recommend the Eureka Rapid Wash. Again, that link will be in my description box. That is all for this week's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it and it gave you some motivation to tackle some kind of decluttering or cleaning project in your own home. Or I hope like maybe if you just needed a friend to hang out with today, that I've provided that for you. It is like 10 o'clock at night as I'm recording these voiceovers. I feel like I'm getting loopy and crazy as time goes on. But again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll come back again next week for another one.